Hi, I'm Johnny. Today's topic is fortune and misfortune. Paul George expected to return in 3 weeks. Warriors secure back-to-back road wins against Lakers. Austin Reaves delivers double-double. Can the team really keep him?
No vest.
Let's dive straight into the first piece of news. LA Clippers Paul George got injured and had to leave the game yesterday. The scene looked quite painful, and it must have been even more painful for the Clippers organization and their fans. Just when they finally had a healthy team with the return of Kawhi Leonard, the championship favorite Clippers suffered another blow with Paul George's injury. However, we mentioned yesterday that Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks had a similar injury in 2021, and he only missed 2 games before returning to lead his team to the championship. So, although Paul George's injury appears severe, Clippers fans don't need to worry too much. Today's news indicates that he is expected to rest for 3 weeks before being reevaluated, so his season isn't over just yet. Honestly, that's a silver lining for the Clippers. Before we move on to the next segment, please give our video a thumbs up. Your encouragement is our greatest motivation to create content. Thank you. As mentioned in yesterday's video, if the recovery takes less than a month or if he can return before the second round of the playoffs, then I personally think it's good news. Today is March 23rd, and a 2 to 3 week recovery means he could return to the court by mid-April. The Clippers' last regular season game is on April 10th against the Suns, followed by the play-in tournament. As long as the Clippers can avoid dropping to the play-in tournament, they can give Paul George more time to rest. Otherwise, he might have to play through the pain during the play-in games, as it's a do-or-die situation. The current situation for the Clippers is somewhat similar to the Lakers. In simple terms, how the Lakers perform will determine if LeBron James can rest for longer. However, the Lakers' situation is more complicated since they are fighting for a spot in the play-in tournament. As for the Clippers, they are currently ranked within the top 6 in the Western Conference, and although their lead over the 7th-place Timberwolves isn't significant, their overall position is still more advantageous than the Lakers. Thus, the Clippers must do everything they can to avoid the play-in tournament. Another point of interest is whether the Clippers can secure the 4th seed in the West, which would give them home court advantage in the first round. Whether Paul George can successfully return during the first round remains uncertain, but regardless, it's great news that he still has a chance to return this season. Speaking of returning, the New Orleans Pelicans' Zion Williamson has been cleared to resume on-court activities and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. His situation is relatively straightforward, as the Pelicans' last regular season game is on April 10th against the Timberwolves. As long as the Pelicans don't make it to the play-in tournament, Zion won't need to return. From the Pelicans' perspective, they can only hope that their other players perform well. Fans should also watch if Zion can return before the end of the regular season to help his team in the last 2 to 3 games. Moving on to the game updates, talking about injured players, All-Star KAT, who has been out for a long time this season due to injury, returned to the court today in the game against the Hawks. His return is critical for the Timberwolves, as not only do they have a chance to secure a top 6 spot in the Western Conference after the play-in tournament, but also their key scorer Anthony Edwards got injured recently. This means the team is now missing a player who averages 24 points per game. Under these circumstances, KAT's return to the court is undoubtedly a huge help for the Timberwolves. Today, with a last-second 2-pointer by Mike Conley and KAT's 2 successful free throws, the Timberwolves narrowly defeated the Hawks 125-124, bringing their record to 35-35, a .500 winning percentage, and ranking 7th in the West. KAT scored 22 points in 26 minutes during this game. After the game, he was interviewed by the media and was quite emotional, which is understandable considering how long it has been since he last played, not to mention that today's game was on their home court. However, the key to the Timberwolves' victory today was the 25 points scored by Jaden McDaniels and the 26 points scored by Naz Reid coming off the bench. These 2 players showed fierce firepower today, with Naz Reid shooting 11-4-15 with an impressively high field goal percentage. Here, let's introduce Naz Reid again. Standing at 6'9", he is a big man with an outside shot, averaging 10 points per game this season. More importantly, his contract expires after this season. With Rudy Gobert, KAT, and Kyle Anderson in the front court, can the Timberwolves successfully retain Naz Reid? We'll have to wait and see, as other teams will likely be interested as well. As for the Hawks, Trae Young scored a team-high 29 points. Speaking of returns, Ja Morant, who was recently suspended by the league due to a firearm incident, also returned to the court today. However, he started off the bench, and during the game, he had a beautiful dunk, showcasing his excellent physical condition. The Grizzlies eventually defeated the Houston Rockets 130-125 at home. The player to watch was JJJ, who scored 37 points in this game. Additionally, Desmond Bane's consecutive scoring in the final moments of the fourth quarter was critical for the Grizzlies to defeat the Rockets. He scored 20 points in this game. After securing this victory, the Grizzlies not only solidified their position as the second seed in the West but also clinched a playoff spot. In my opinion, although it will be difficult for the Grizzlies to catch up to the Nuggets, they should be able to enter the playoffs with the second seed in the West after Ja Morant's return. In simpler terms, they have gotten through the most challenging times. The Rockets, despite having both Jalen Green and Kenyon Martin Jr. score 30-plus points, still suffered their third consecutive loss recently. Next, let's take a look at the highly popular Golden State Warriors, whose opponents today were the Dallas Mavericks. This game was crucial for both teams, as they had each won one game in their two previous encounters this season. In other words, whichever team could secure a victory today would gain a head-to-head advantage. In the end, the Warriors narrowly defeated the Mavericks 127-125 on the road, not only achieving their second consecutive away win but also taking the head-to-head advantage. The Mavericks, on the other hand, not only swallowed a two-game losing streak but also saw their record fall to 36-37, with a winning percentage below .500. More troublingly, they have now dropped to 9th place in the Western Conference. In this game, Stephen Curry demonstrated his star value at crucial moments. In addition to assisting Draymond Green in scoring, his drive against Maxi Kleber with 11 seconds left in the fourth quarter was critical. In this play, Draymond Green set a solid screen. Moreover, a peculiar scene occurred in the third quarter of the game. During a Warriors offensive possession, there were no Mavericks players on defense. Jokingly, one could say it was even more ridiculous than the All-Star game, right? According to reporters' information, the Mavericks filed a protest, believing that it was a referee's mistake. In simple terms, there may have been an issue with the referee's instructions when the ball was inbound. Regardless, this happened at the end of the third quarter, and the Mavericks had the entire fourth quarter to catch up, so personally, I cannot accept the notion that this play led to the team's loss. Kyrie Irving did not play in this game, while Luka Doncic scored 30 points. Although he only scored 20 points, he contributed 13 assists. The player to watch was Jonathan Kuminga, who came off the bench and scored 22 points in this game. In fact, Kuminga's performance is crucial for the Warriors. Since Andre Iguodala will not be playing in the remaining regular season games, the Warriors will have to rely on their current roster to make it to the playoffs and then wait for Andrew Wiggins, Gary Payton II, and Andre Iguodala to return. Whether Wiggins will return this season due to personal reasons remains uncertain, which means that Jonathan Kuminga will become one of the most critical players in the Warriors' frontcourt at this stage. Next, let's look at the Lakers vs. Suns game. DeAndre Ayton of the Suns did not play, and the team started Bismack Biyombo. The Lakers also adjusted their starting lineup, putting Malik Beasley on the bench and bringing up the recently impressive Austin Reaves to start. As a result, he, AD, and D'Angelo Russell combined for 78 points, ultimately helping the Lakers defeat the Suns 122-111 at home. So the Lakers are now just one game away from a 50% win rate. We need to continue discussing Austin Reaves here, who scored 25 points and contributed 11 assists in this game. Why are we talking specifically about him? Because he is very likely to be targeted by other teams with a poison pill contract. We made a video on this topic a couple of days ago, so if you haven't seen it, be sure to check it out. From the Lakers' perspective, seeing his excellent performance is of course gratifying, but considering the off-season contract issues, it might be headache-inducing. After all, the team has already let fan favorite Alex Caruso leave, and if they fail to retain Austin Reaves this time, Lakers fans would likely be very upset. However, the Lakers will also face salary pressures during the off-season with players like D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura, so seeing Austin Reaves' great performance now may bring mixed feelings. In this game, Austin Reaves and AD had many pick-and-roll combinations, which is the main reason why he could contribute 11 assists. With his ability to score inside, from mid-range, and beyond the arc, as well as drawing fouls from opponents, his good performance can indeed be considered a sweet burden for the Lakers. On the Suns' side, Devin Booker scored a team-high 33 points. Although the Suns lost, they are still ranked 4th in the Western Conference. Lastly, let's look at the standings. After the Nuggets defeated the Wizards today, they still lead the second-place Grizzlies by 3.5 games. As for the Trailblazers, even though they beat the Jazz today, they are still 3.5 games behind the 10th-place Lakers, making their chances of making the play-in tournament very slim. In the Eastern Conference, the Bucks, Celtics, and 76ers, all top-ranked teams, won their games today, so their rankings remain unchanged. We should also pay attention to the Heat, who, after defeating the Knicks today, are still ranked 7th in the Eastern Conference, but have no difference in games with the 6th-place Nets, so the Heat have a chance to break into the top 6. Alright, with stars like KAT, Ja Morant, and others returning to the court, all teams are preparing for the final sprint. Upcoming, we'll see the return of stars like Kevin Durant, James Harden, and even LeBron James, making the competition even more intense. Which teams will make it to the play-in tournament and the playoffs? Let's find out together.